Welcome back to another NXT review with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist. If you have any comments on what I talk about in this video, or indeed on this week's edition of NXT, please let those thoughts be known down in the comment section below. And also, if you want to watch this week's edition of NXT, the link will be provided to you in the description box below. And with Alex Riley on commentary this week, how could you miss this one? So we opened up this week's edition of NXT with a kind of random Divas match, really. Bayley and Charlotte versus Alicia Fox and Oksana. I wasn't really too bothered about Alicia Fox and Oksana. Bayley and Charlotte are two characters that I'm kind of interested in right now. And the first thing I noticed about this match was Bayley got over. You know, as much as I didn't think I'd be saying this, Bayley's Starstruck character, it actually managed to go with the crowd. The crowd are cheering her name. They've started making cutouts of her in the crowd like they did with Emma and Paige's characters. So looks like this Starstruck gimmick they've given Bayley has actually worked and gotten her over. And to be honest with you, with that gimmick being successful, it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep Bayley and Charlotte as a tag team and maybe stem them off and feud them down the line with Charlotte going heel. You know, because let's face it, out of Charlotte and Bayley, you're always going to prefer Bayley because she's more of the lovable kind of person. You know, someone who will come up to you and hug you just because you're famous. Just saying, ladies and gentlemen. As for the match, like I said, I wasn't really too bothered about it. Bayley gets the win with Alicia Fox after tagging herself in on from Charlotte when she seemed to be controlling the match. So maybe they're trying to do something there. Who really knows? But yeah, there you go. That's really all I have to say about this opening segment, really. So on this week's edition of NXT, they continued on with the Ascension versus the Corey Graves and Adrian Neville feud that they have going on for the NXT Tag Team Championships now. It's just a matter of time before these guys face off, and I think the Ascension will eventually take those tag team titles down the line, as Corey Graves and Adrian Neville, not really much of an interesting tag team right now, in my opinion, especially Corey Graves, and I'll get onto more of that in a minute. So after main eventing the show last week, Adrian Neville and Conor O'Brien, you have Corey Graves, who got attacked by Conor O'Brien, face Rick Victor in the match after the opener. You know, I would have thought that with this being an NXT Tag Team Championship feud involving the Ascension and people such as Corey Graves and Adrian Neville, you would keep it in a prominent spot, not put it after a random-ass Divas match. I'm just saying. As for Corey Graves as a babyface, I've come to the conclusion that I just don't think Corey Graves works as a babyface. You know, whenever I watch Corey Graves, I think to myself, why would I cheer this guy? You know, I don't really see any reason to cheer Corey Graves personally. I mean, as a tweener, it probably kind of works. Maybe it does. I just don't see a reason to cheer Corey Graves, which is probably one of the reasons why I was begging for Cassius Ohno to beef up his physique so he can get back and team with Adrian Neville and be tag team champions. Just saying. As for this match, it was a bleh match. You know, it wasn't too interesting. The crowd weren't really feeling this match. I don't know, it just never really clicked, in my opinion. Never really clicked. You had Rick Victor focusing on the injured ribs. You know, that's his training from the Heart Dungeon, being, I believe, the last person out of the Heart Dungeon. But the match was bleh, and it went about 10 minutes, which was about 3 or 4 minutes too long, in my opinion, because the crowd were not really into this match at all. Yeah, the most interesting part of the match for me was Adrian Neville coming in the ring and drop-kicking Conor O'Brien to the outside, and that allowed Corey Graves to get the roll-up win. So, in this feud right now, you've had the babyfaces pin both the heels. I know the heels got one up on them last week and the babyfaces got one up on them this week, but could you not at least to give Rick Victor the win here or have a DQ or something? I don't like it when the babyface team pins the heel team in singles matches. I think it should at least be one each so it could seem like both teams are kind of equal. So I don't think this segment was effective as it really should have been, and the match was Next time you do a backstage segment at NXT, can you please not make it so obvious that the wrestlers are using cue cards, and could you not pan into an angle where we see the lighting and that the room is all dark except for the lighting? It kind of ruins the illusion that this is supposed to be seen as real. It kind of makes it look really more fake than it really should be. That's what the backstage segment between Summer Rae and Sasha Banks felt like. It felt very scripted and it didn't feel very real. And, you know, I can see they're trying to do something with Sasha Banks' character going into her match with Paige. Right now, I'm not feeling it all that much, but I guess we'll see if the results pay off next week when Sasha Banks does go against Paige, and we'll see what happens with her character therefore, because the Sasha Banks character, in my opinion, there's nothing it about it. There's no real thing that you can really pinpoint about Sasha Banks. Like Emma, it's the dancing. You know, with Bayley, it's the Starstruck gimmick. With Summer Rae, it's the dancing, you know, the Fandango dancing. With Paige, it's the anti-diva. What can you really associate with Sasha Banks? It seems like Sasha Banks just needs that one thing that kind of makes her a little bit unique from the rest of them. Maybe a mean streak, which is what they're kind of, which is what they're trying to tease here. Maybe that could be, getting inside the opponent's head. Maybe that could be the kind of thing that separates her out from other divas. Because right now she kind of needs it, in my opinion. Finally, Sylvester Lafort has hired Alexander Rusev to make lots of money. I'm so glad that they've actually paired off Sylvester Lafort and Alexander Rusev. So you got this Alexander Rusev character that can't really talk, is the kind of silent character, and you've now given him a manager that can talk for him. A perfect marriage made in heaven, as I said last week. I'm so glad they've done this. And then you had Alexander Rusev against Mason Ryan. And when I saw this, I was like, two big guys? Bloody hell, this is a match that I really want to actually see. I love the fact also that Rusev has a piece of wood and he holds it up and smashes it on his knee with the opponent's name on it. And this one, it was Mason. Instead of saying Mason Ryan, it just said Mason on it. I don't know why. That just kind of made me laugh. I don't know why. As for the match itself, I'm sure the YWC loved this one. Full of technical action, full of flippy-flips. Nah, it was a big man match, people. It's going to be a little bit slower. I can kind of appreciate big man wrestling. I can appreciate technical wrestling. So this match to me was okay. No, it wasn't anything special. It was just okay in my opinion. I think it was a bit stupid in my opinion also that Mason Ryan tapped out so quickly to the camel clutch. I think that although they're trying to make Rusev's camel clutch be this lethal finisher, that a guy like Mason Ryan, who is absolutely massive, I don't think he should be tapping out of a camel clutch that quickly in my opinion. Just saying. And as for Scott Dawson, man, he's interfering in the match and Mason Ryan just eliminates him as if he's nothing. He looked like such a jobber here. And that's exactly what he should be in this faction. He should be the guy that takes the fall so the Alexander Rusevs of the world can get over on the baby faces a little bit. I don't know. But Sylvester Lafort, Alexander Rusev, I'm enjoying right now. Scott Dawson, I think they need to do a little bit more of Mason Ryan. Because right now, Mason Ryan is kind of coming in doing this shit like, blah, 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 trying to be a baby face. And it doesn't look right on Mason Ryan. Just me. Random heel attack alert, random heel attack alert. Leo Kruger randomly attacks Xavier Woods, which is probably going to set up a match down the line. So it looks like, much like Daniel Bryan on WWE TV, Sami Zayn is getting a really big push on NXT purely based on crowd reaction. The reason why you get put in the main event match of the evening is so that you can draw the most reaction from the crowd. And, this is exactly why Sami Zayn is getting a push. All you have to do is use your ears. Every time he's on TV, the crowd love him. Every time he does something, an offensive maneuver, the crowd cheer it, much like Daniel Bryan. Anytime the guy's on the mic, the crowd cheer him. Anytime he does a flip to the outside, the crowd love it. Even when he does a fake dive, the crowd are giving him a massive reaction, which is why, in my opinion, this push is very warranted for Sami Zayn and why he should be the NXT champion going forward and win it against Bo Dallas in what should be NXT's biggest match of the year, in my opinion. So, Sami Zayn's push, it's going really well right now. He's going up against people like Jack Swagger. He's going up against people like Antonio Cesaro. And yes, he's losing to these guys, but really, you've got WWE roster guys. You can't have them beat NXT. You can't have them, lose to NXT guys every week. So, to be honest with you, the fact that Sami Zayn has lost to Jack Swagger like he did this week and Antonio Cesaro, to me, people might say that hurts him a little bit, but he's had two really competitive matches with WWE roster talent, one of which was a former US champion, one of which was a former Money in the Bank winner, World Heavyweight champion, and winner of an Elimination Chamber. So he has two losses against these guys, but I don't think these losses are hurting him at all. He's having competitive matches. A guy in developmental is having really competitive matches with guys like Jack Swagger and also Antonio Cesaro. It's a great thing in my opinion. The match he had with Jack Swagger this week was again really good. Not as good as Antonio Cesaro 2 out of 3 Falls match, but still a really good match which the crowd went into the whole time. Maybe there was a couple too many near falls. In my opinion, there was a couple too many near falls. That's just me. I'm just nitpicking here. But the match itself was really good. And the finish, with Bo Dallas coming out and kind of sarcastically cheering on Sami Zayn, you got it, distracting him so Jack Swagger gets the win. It's a nice way to continue. It's a simple way to continue on the Bo Dallas and Sami Zayn feud, which is going to be a big feud for NXT going forward and one that I'm looking forward to seeing. It's when it's an opposite effect with these two characters. Whenever Sami Zayn comes out, the crowd love him. But whenever Bo Dallas comes out, the crowd fucking hate him, which is why this kind of feud is a match made in heaven, really. And Bo Dallas's character now works for him because of the crowd reaction. And to go up against the biggest babyface in NXT right now, Sami Zayn, and that's going to be a hell of a match and hopefully will be a hell of a feud. So there we go. Good main event this week for NXT, in my opinion. As for this week's edition of NXT, a bit of a mixed bag, really. You had a really good main event, a semi-interesting match between Mason Ryan and Alexander Rusev, if you don't mind big man wrestling. The random Divas tag match was kind of there, but there was a couple of highlights on this show. Like I said, you also had the Corey Graves and Rick Victor stuff. You're continuing on an NXT Championship feud. It wasn't the best way to continue it, but still getting featured. So a middle of the road, not as good as last week, but not as bad as some of the bad shows we've had on NXT this year. So I'd say middle of the road, decent, watchable, but probably mostly for the main event, I would say. So check out NXT, and especially this main event once again with Sami Zayn. Pretty much anything with Sami Zayn in it right now seems to be pretty damn good quality stuff. So check that out in the description box below. Any comments you have on this show or anything I've talked about, once again, down in the comment section below. Thank you once again to all you people that watch and comment on my NXT reviews as I go forward with these reviews solo. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.